Hi, I'm Bobby Tebarle, founder of the Business Startup Blueprint, where we teach Filipinos how to start their own businesses from scratch by helping them understand the low-risk, high-reward approach to starting a business. And it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the second video of our free Business Startup Training series on how to start a low-risk, high-reward business. We have a lot in store for you in the second video, but first, I'd like to say thank you for all your comments, likes, and shares on our first training video. It's great to know that many of you are truly interested in starting a business through our low-risk, high-reward approach. Now, in our first video, we covered a lot of things in starting a low-risk, high-reward business. The major lessons there were, number 1, in order to achieve financial freedom, time freedom, and personal freedom, the only real way is to have your own business. You also learned that in this day and age, having a business is already becoming a must. Because there is no real job security, even large multinational companies are cutting jobs all over the world. And that the concept of having a fixed salary is a trap. Because if you cannot control your income, talong-talo ka sa inflation. If you want financial, time, and personal freedom, the only way is through business. Unfortunately, I know, you know, and everybody knows that starting a business, it's not that easy because of all of the risks involved. This brings us to the second and probably the most important lesson in video number 1. Starting a business does not have to be risky. Here, you learned about the difference between aspiring entrepreneurs and established entrepreneurs. That majority of aspiring entrepreneurs take on too much risk. Their approach to business is high risk, high reward. Sabak lang ng sabak. Fortune favors the brave. But unfortunately, that's why many of them fail. Because they take on too much risk. On the other hand, established entrepreneurs avoid and minimize risks. Their approach to business is low risk, high reward, and that's why they succeed. Then the third lesson we covered in video number 1 was that if you follow the low risk, high reward approach to starting a business, you will also find success. This is what happened to me personally when in my first business, I lost 11 million pesos in investor money because I was taking on too much risks. That even though me and my team worked hard, quit our jobs, pursued the business full-time, we still had to close down our cocoa sugar business in 2 years. But when I followed the low-risk, high-reward approach to my second and third businesses, I was able to build 7-figure businesses from less than 5,000 pesos in capital. And I know that this low-risk, high-reward approach works because it was also experienced by one of our earlier students, Vero Hines. Before we met Vero, he had a lot of startup failures already. He already lost 7 million pesos in the last 8 years trying to start a business. Unfortunately, all of his attempts at business failed. But after learning about the Business Startup Blueprint and the low-risk, high-reward approach to business, he now has actual customers waiting to buy his products in his farm before he even produces them. Imagine, wala ka pang product pero may handa nang bumili. And that's a huge difference. Now, he's earning 50,000 pesos a month from his farm business. And aside from Vero, I've seen success stories like these from some of our other students too. They've put up different businesses like a franchise of a fruit juice stall, home renovation services, apartment rentals, a health and wellness products distribution business, and many more. So, by now, you must be super curious already on what this low-risk, high-reward approach to business is. So, hindi ko na patatagalin pa. Let's jump into it, the main lessons in the second video. But before we start, I highly recommend that you get a pen and a notebook or anywhere you can take down notes. Because trust me, you will want to take down notes for this video. Because when you learn this approach, just like myself, you're going to wish na sana dati mo pa itong nalaman. Because it will totally change the way you look at starting a business. With that, let's get started. Here are the 5 steps to starting a business using a low-risk, high-reward approach. Step number 1, winning before you even start. Step number 2, generating the best business ideas. Step number 3, knowing your customer and winning their money. Step number 4, formulating your money-making product. And step number 5, launching your dream business. I'm going to discuss these steps one at a time, and along the way, I'm also going to highlight the 5 common mistakes that aspiring entrepreneurs do that cause them to fail. So you will be able to avoid these same mistakes in the future. So let's start with step number 1, winning before you even start. Step number 1 involves the many things you can do to lower your risks and increase your chances of success before you even start working on your business. You can do a lot of these things even while you're still working at your job. You can save money. You can hone your business skills. You can find suppliers of your product, widen your network, get business coaches and mentors, and so much more. This just goes to show that preparation is key. The more that you prepare, the more skills you'll have, the more money you'll save, and the wider your network will be. Ultimately, this will lower your risks of failing. Now, let me ask you a question. Among everything that I mentioned that you could prepare for, namely skills, money, and network, which do you think is most important? Which of these would lower your risks and increase your chances of success the most? This brings us to common mistake number 1 of aspiring entrepreneurs. Many aspiring entrepreneurs think that the most important thing before you start a business is capital, the money. That's why, for their first step, many aspiring entrepreneurs borrow money from relatives or get a loan from a bank to buy their way into business. Either they start up their own business or get a franchise, it doesn't matter. Right at the start, they spend money. But think about it, isn't that too risky? They don't have developed skills yet for running the business. They don't have the right contacts yet. But they are spending millions already for something they have minimal experience in. Again, many aspiring entrepreneurs fail because they take on too much risk. So with this approach of getting a loan immediately, yes, a few succeed, but most fail because they weren't really ready at the start. So, what do established entrepreneurs do? Established entrepreneurs know that among the three, money is the least important. The most important thing is first to have the skills, followed by having the right network, and money is last. More specifically, established entrepreneurs spend their resources on only 2 things at the start. They develop their skills for creating a product. They develop their skills for selling the product. Just those 2 things. As first steps, established entrepreneurs learn. They develop skills, and again, for creating the product and selling the product. Now here comes common mistake number 2 of aspiring entrepreneurs. Aspiring entrepreneurs spend resources on activities that do not produce positive cash flow or money coming into the business. For instance, common questions I get over email from aspiring entrepreneurs are, Bobit, gusto ko mag-business. Paano ba mag-register? Or, paano ba dapat mag-decide sa product name? Or, ano kaya magandang logo? O saan ba pwede mag-raise ng capital? Now, these activities will eventually have to be done at some point. But when you're just starting up, all these activities are a waste of time. Why? Because they don't help you create cash flow. It doesn't help you create an income for your business. If you register your business immediately, kahit hindi pa naman kailangan, you will waste a lot of weeks going back and forth with the City Hall, BIR, and much more than that, you'll actually end up paying so much overhead fees. Hindi ka pa nga kumikita, may kaltas na agad sa'yo yung gobyerno. Now you might be wondering, what do established entrepreneurs do? They first focus all of their time and effort to making the low-risk, high-reward business successful first. They simply focus on creating the perfect product and selling that product. And when they have made it a success, that's when they pay someone to register the business for them. You'll have the money for it by then anyway. At the same time, you don't have to deal with this non-value-adding, bureaucratic process that doesn't produce positive cash flow. You can continue to focus on growing your successful business. Again, established entrepreneurs avoid and minimize risks. By delaying the registration process, they can actually get to test the business first to see if it'll work out before pouring in time, money, and effort on activities that will not produce positive cash flow. As you can see, this approach is a much safer way to start. Alright, now as you can see, we're only in step number 1 of the low-risk, high-reward approach to business. But before we move to the next step, I'd like to bring up one more common mistake of aspiring entrepreneurs. Because this is really a no-no. Here's mistake number 3. So I got an email asking me, I want to start a business, so I will resign from my job already. Now, when I asked him what the business was, sabi niya, wala pa daw, pero handa nang mag-resign. No. This is the riskiest mistake of all. I do not want you to quit your job to start a business. You can start a low-risk, high-reward business without leaving your job. What I teach and what established entrepreneurs do is they quit their jobs only after the business is already successful. But of course, I understand that many aspiring entrepreneurs think that they have to quit their jobs to go into business in order to free up their time. But you know what? Having a job while starting a business is actually a huge advantage. Number 1, you still have a fixed source of income, so you don't have to worry about where and how to feed your family next month. And number 2, Because you have limited time, you're actually getting forced to only work on the most important activities. And at the start, these activities are developing skills to create a product and developing skills for selling a product. Yun lang. Having too much time and even money for your business can actually work against you. Kasi you start taking things for granted. You start becoming brave and taking risks. And again, risks will cause you to fail. So if you're someone who has a regular job, but you want to start a business, please keep your job. Do not take on risks, even if you have a lot of savings or capital. Because to recap, an important point in step number 1, money is not the most important thing you'll need to be able to start a low-risk, high-reward business. Your skills are the most important. Alright, as you can see, we're just in step number 1, but we've already covered 3 of the 5 most common mistakes that aspiring entrepreneurs make when starting a business. Again, this is why your preparation is super important. Kasi sa simula pa lang, marami nang nagkakamali. Pero ang pinoproblema, kahit na skills talaga ang pinakamahalaga. Gastos agad ang ginagawa at hindi ang pagkita. Tapos, gusto na agad mag-resign. Risk on na agad. All of these are risky. Winning before you even start means preparing the right way and doing the right things. Develop your skills first. Do not spend lots of money because you really do not need to do so. And do not quit your job because, again, you really do not need to do so. All of these lower your risks and help you win before you even start. With that, let's go to step number 2 in the low-risk, high-reward approach to starting a business. Step number 2 is generating the best business ideas. This step is all about choosing a business idea that falls in what is called your business sweet spot. Ano naman tong business sweet spot? For a business to fall under the business sweet spot, may 4 criteria na tinitignan. The business must be something you're good at, something you're passionate about, something the world needs or wants, and something the world will pay for. Starting a business that falls under these 4 conditions is going to be the lowest risk business that you can ever start. And take note, iba-iba ito bawat tao. Dahil iba-iba rin naman tayo ng unique strengths and passions in life. This is why step number 2, through the business sweet spot, is the key to determining the perfect, low-risk, high-reward business for you. This brings us to common mistake number 4 of aspiring entrepreneurs. Aspiring entrepreneurs start businesses based on trends. Choosing a business idea that's not right for you is one of the biggest risks that you can ever take when starting a business. I've been there, and I would not want you to go through the same risk that I did because that risk made my earlier businesses fail. And one of the biggest risks that I took was choosing the wrong business idea. I ended up choosing the wrong business idea because I fell for the most popular trap in business. What is this trap? It's called the "ano ba ang okay na business?" trap. Yes, I know it's a very long name for a trap, but you cannot deny how popular this question is. You may have heard someone ask this question before, or maybe you've asked it yourself, diba? Why is this a dangerous trap? There are 2 reasons why. Number 1, the "ano ba ang okay na business?" trap makes you focus on the business idea alone. And this is not enough when choosing the best business idea for yourself. It makes you focus on the business potential, but it does not make you focus on your potential for this business. By your potential for this business, I mean your skills for this business, your expertise, your experience, your interests, your values. This was the mistake I made with my cocoa sugar business. I did not have any skills and experience in agriculture. I wasn't interested in it too. I did not have any skills and experience in exporting. I was not interested in it as well. Honestly, pera lang tinitignan ko nun. Because I did not have the skills, expertise, and experience for that business, everything in that business was a grind. Every step of the way, kayod kabayo. Not one aspect was easy or something that I've done before. We always had to research, we always had to get expensive consultants. That's how hard it is for you not to have potential for a specific business. But because I had investor capital and a business background, I thought I was going to be okay. I still pursued that business because I was focusing on the business potential alone and not my potential for running that business. This trap led me to the huge risk of choosing the wrong business idea and ultimately to failure. Number 2, the "ano ba ang okay na business?" trap makes you focus on trends and not what really matters in business. In business, a trend is a sudden and unexpected fascination of a group of people towards a product or a service that is usually short-lived in nature. Yung biglaang sikat pero biglaang ding nawawala. This is why they all say this about trends. Trends come and go. That's just how it is with trends. 1 minute, they're the biggest thing in the world. Next minute, wala na. You remember Zagu? Remember internet shops? Remember milk tea? All of these were major trends at some point. It seemed like there was one Zagu store, internet shop, and milk tea outlet in every corner. But all of them have since died down. I personally know several aspiring entrepreneurs who lost a big sum of money because they relied on these trends alone when starting a business. Even those with franchises, they lost most of their life savings as the trends died and their internet shop and milk tea outlet died with it. Remember this, trends come and go, and businesses that jump on trends will come and go as well. Gusto mo ba yun for your business? Of course not. We want a business that will last our lifetimes and longer. So what's the lesson at this step? Start a business within your business sweet spot. It should be something you're good at, something you're passionate about, something the world needs, and something the world is willing to pay for. Aspiring entrepreneurs start businesses based on trends. And when they do, they don't know it, but they're actually risking and hoping that this trend will continue in the future. But established entrepreneurs look within themselves. Yes, they look at trends too, but they see first if they have the experience in the industry, if they have an advantage. So they're able to avoid and minimize risks. Let's now proceed to the next step. Step number 3 for starting a low-risk, high-reward business is knowing your customer and winning their money. Overall, a business is all about giving the customer what he wants, needs, and desires. After all, it's the customer who will pay for whatever product or service you will offer. The customer is the reason our businesses exist. So with your business idea from step number 2 on hand, step 3 is where you will refine it based on what you will know about your customer. The primary question you will answer here is, who is your customer and what is his problem? What are his needs, wants, and desires? This step is where customer research and interviews come in. You'll really get to know your customer and his problem so you can eventually sell to him a product that will solve his problem. Because think about it, if you know what will make your customer buy your product, you will definitely reduce your risks and increase your chances of success. So, once you know your customer and what his problem is, step number 4 is formulating your money-making product. Now, I would like to point out a very important lesson here. Step number 3 is knowing your customer. Step number 4 is formulating your product. Researching and knowing about your customer should always come first prior to formulating your product. Otherwise, you will run the risk of creating a product that no one will want to buy. And that would be a huge, disastrous risk. This brings us to common mistake number 5. Aspiring entrepreneurs blindly love their products. I guess this is human nature. Na kung ano man yung isipin natin, tingin natin maganda na yun. And many aspiring entrepreneurs will spend a lot of money starting a business and creating the product they blindly loved, even without knowing the customer, as we did in step number 3, and without validating if this product is in fact what the customer truly needs and will pay for. What do we mean by validating the product? Well, based on what you know about your customer, you should then formulate the product, but do not create it yet. Before even creating the product, established entrepreneurs first test if this product is what customers will truly buy. And they do this testing and validation step in the fastest, easiest, and cheapest way possible. To better understand how this works, here's an example for you. Suppose you're a great cook and you want to put up your own restaurant. Aspiring entrepreneurs, just go ahead and do it. Risk on! Gawin mo na, baka maunahan ka pa. Borrow money and put up your restaurant already. Established entrepreneurs, on the other hand, will validate first if their product, in this case, the food, is truly what the customers will pay for, before spending a fortune putting up a restaurant. How can this be validated in the fastest, easiest, and cheapest way possible? In a lot of ways. Try selling your food to office mates, or join food bazaars. If you do this and see that people don't order from you again, then this validation step proves that you're not yet ready to put up your own restaurant. But at least you saved yourself from the risk of spending a fortune on a business that will not work. At the same time, this validation step showed you that you will still have to keep getting feedback from your customer, improving your product, and validating all over again. Say this process eventually results in an improved product that people now buy over and over and over again. If these people tell their friends, and now their friends buy it over and over again, then it looks like you have a winner on your hands. You validated that your product is now something that customers will pay for, and with this improved and validated product, it will be much less risky for you to put up your own restaurant. This is the essence of step number 4. Established entrepreneurs validate a business first before going all in. You lower your risk because you test and improve your product without putting up your whole business yet and without spending lots of time, money, and effort. Step number 4 is a step that we teach emphatically in the Business Startup Blueprint because it's super important. We make an effort to really show fast, cheap, and creative ways to validate businesses because this is an important low-risk step that can and will save your business. So finally, the 5th and last step of the low-risk, high-reward approach to starting a business is launching your dream business. If you follow steps 1 to 4 without skipping a step, if you prepare before you even start, determine your best business idea, know your customer, and validate your product, step number 5 is going to be easy. This step is all about scaling your business to grow, adding more products and services to the point where you can already earn more than what you're making in your job, to the point where you can afford to hire more employees so you can safely resign from your job, do what you want, spend time with family, and to enjoy your financial, time, and personal freedom. And of course, the 5th and final step, just like all the steps, is done through a low-risk, high-reward approach. We do things one by one in this step to ensure that we do not expose ourselves to big, crippling risks that aspiring entrepreneurs find themselves in. And that's it for the 5 steps to starting a low-risk, high-reward business. At this point, I'm sure that all of you want to see examples of the 5-step blueprint to starting a low-risk, high-reward business in action. So that's what we'll talk about in the next video. You're going to see a concrete, in-depth example of the Business Startup Blueprint and how it brought financial freedom, time freedom, and personal freedom to one's aspiring entrepreneurs. Our next video is going to contain so much information, so make sure you watch out for it. For now, I'd just like to summarize everything that you've learned in this free training video to make sure that you fully understand the steps to starting your own low-risk, high-reward business. So let's recap everything. Here are the things you should remember from watching this video. Write this down if you can because it's super important. Number 1. The 5 most common mistakes aspiring entrepreneurs commit when starting a business are: aspiring entrepreneurs think that the most important thing you need before you start a business is capital or the money. Established entrepreneurs know that your skills are what's most important. Aspiring entrepreneurs spend resources on activities that do not produce positive cash flow, like business registration or designing a logo. Established entrepreneurs focus on producing positive cash flow first so that they can pay someone else to do these non-value-adding activities. Aspiring entrepreneurs think that you can only start a business if you leave your job and work full-time on it. Established entrepreneurs know that this is a high-risk move. They know that you can start a low-risk, high-reward business without leaving your job. It's a lot less risky to quit your job only after the business is already successful. Aspiring entrepreneurs start businesses based on trends. Established entrepreneurs know that this is a high-risk move because trends and the businesses that are based on them come and go. Instead, they start low-risk businesses based on their business sweet spot, which is something they're good at, something they're passionate about, something the world needs, and something the world is willing to pay for. Lastly, aspiring entrepreneurs blindly love their products and go all in to create them immediately. Established entrepreneurs know that this is a high-risk move that often leads to costly failure. Instead, a low-risk step they do is to validate first in the fastest, easiest, and cheapest way possible if their product is something that the customer will truly pay for. Only after successful validation do they go all in. Number 2. To avoid these common mistakes, you have to follow the 5 steps to starting a low-risk, high-reward business. These are: step number 1, winning before you even start. This involves preparing the right way, especially by developing your skills and expanding your network so you can already lower your risk even before starting your business. Step number 2, generating the best business ideas. This involves determining your business sweet spot, which is the perfect low-risk business for you. Step number 3, knowing your customer and winning their money. This involves knowing your customer and what his problem really is. Knowing what will truly make your customer happy lowers your risk and increases your chances of success. Step number 4 is formulating your money-making product. This involves testing and validating your product before you go all in to create it. By validating your product in the fastest, easiest, and cheapest way possible, you lower your risk because you're now sure that your product is what your customer will truly pay for. And step number 5, launching your dream business. This involves growing and expanding your business in a low-risk way so you can safely leave your job and experience financial freedom, time freedom, and personal freedom. And that's it for our second training video. If you learned a lot from this free training video, I hope that you can share it to friends or family who might be interested in starting a business as well. You can also comment below any questions, thoughts, and realizations you had from watching this video. I would love to hear from you, and I'll try to personally answer all of your comments and questions. Alright, that's it for now. I hope you learned a lot from this video, and I hope to see you in the next one because we'll share a concrete, in-depth case study of the 5 steps to starting a low-risk, high-reward business in action. Until then, this is Bobby Ibarle of the Business Startup Blueprint, your proven step-by-step blueprint to starting a low-risk, high-reward business.